On a stormy night, while most of the world slept in the comfort of dry homes, something stirred beneath the thunder. Rain whispered secrets over a lonely stretch of countryside, and lightning cracked like a warning from the sky itself. An old farmer, weathered and silent like the land he worked, was locking up his tools, unaware that destiny was waiting just a few feet from his porch. There, soaked to the bone and shivering, stood a black German shepherd, silent, motionless, eyes fixed on the door, not pleading, but telling. Not many people would have opened that door, but the farmer did, without a word. The dog stepped inside, leaving muddy paw prints on the old wooden floor. But there was no chaos in his entrance, no whining, no barking, just silence. A calm that didn't come from comfort, but control, like a soldier in unfamiliar territory. The farmer, who had lived alone since his wife passed years ago, watched the dog with cautious curiosity. He'd seen wild dogs, strays, even wolves in the distance. But this one? He was different. He gave him a name, Ghost, not because he was quiet, but because it felt like he wasn't entirely of this world. Days turned into weeks. Ghost never left the property. He didn't beg for food, but he never refused it. He didn't play. He didn't sleep deeply. He was always listening, always watching. He lay near the door at night, walked the perimeter during the day. But there was one strange habit. Every morning, just after sunrise, Ghost would walk to a patch of hard ground behind the barn, beneath an old oak tree, and start to dig. Always the same spot. Always the same silence. At first, the farmer thought it was just dog instinct. Maybe he smelled a buried bone or an old carcass. But after 2 weeks of this routine, something unsettled him. The look in Ghost's eyes as he dug, it wasn't playful. It was haunted, focused, determined. So one morning, the farmer brought a shovel, just to help, just to understand. And then they hit plastic, torn, dirty, but unmistakably human. What they uncovered wasn't just a body. It was a story buried in silence. A woman, young, hands bound, bruises deep and cruel. Even the rain hadn't washed away the horror. The farmer, pale and shaking, called the authorities. What followed was a whirlwind, sirens, flashing lights, tape, and questions. She'd been missing for nearly a year. A woman reported gone from a nearby town. But the shocking part wasn't just who she was. It was who she had loved. She had owned a trained military dog, a black German shepherd. Ghost. Police dug deeper, into her life, into her past. She had been married. Her husband had filed the missing persons report, had cried on the news, had said she must have wandered off. But behind the curtain, things were different. Old texts revealed abuse. Voicemails captured yelling. Neighbors heard arguments, things breaking, and once, a scream. And then, he cracked. Under pressure, her husband confessed. He had killed her in a rage, over money, control, jealousy. And afraid of being caught, he wrapped her in plastic, buried her under an old oak tree far away from town, and then he took Ghost, drove him deep into the countryside, opened the door on a back road, and left. Left him to starve, to die. But what he didn't count on was loyalty. Ghost didn't forget. In the chaos, he had seen, he had smelled, he had known. So he ran, through forests, past fences, across highways and farmland. Weeks passed. Ghost grew thin. His paws bled. But he kept walking, driven not by survival, but by purpose, until he reached that quiet farm, that open porch, and the man who would listen, not with words, but with action. Her killer was locked away. Justice, though delayed, was delivered. But the world didn't move on for Ghost. Something changed. He stopped scratching at the dirt. He started sleeping through the night. For the first time, he let himself rest his head on someone's lap. The old farmer would sit beside him on the porch every evening, watching the sun dip behind the hills, a mug of coffee in hand, Ghost's head at his feet. And sometimes, just sometimes, he would speak aloud to the wind. "I don't know what you saw, boy, but I'm glad you found me." Ghost never chased fame. He didn't bark for medals or attention. He carried truth in silence and dug it out when the world stopped looking. Some stories don't scream. They wait. They walk. And they find their way into the hearts of those willing to care. If you felt this story, if you believe in loyalty, justice, and the silent heroes among us, hit that subscribe button. You're not just supporting a channel. You're honoring the unseen, the unheard, the unforgettable. This is for Ghost and every soul who refuses to stay buried.